watching this channel. Today we will be talking about Xerxes, so if you like Persian history, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. Xerxes was born in the year 465 BC in the city of Persepolis. His father was Darius, the second king of the Achaemenid Empire, and his mother was a Persian noblewoman named Amestris. When Xerxes was born, he was given the name Xerxes, which means the Shining One, but later on he would be renamed to Xerxes. This is because when Cyrus the Great conquered Babylon, he found a record of a previous Babylonian king named Xerxes I. Because Xerxes wanted to honor this ancient king by adopting his name, he changed his name from Xerxes to Xerxes. And it should also be noted that the name Xerxes is a Greek interpretation of the name Xerxes. In reality, it sounded closer to Chors or Khosrau, not Xerxes. Xerxes had two older half-brothers from his father's previous marriage. The names of these half-brothers were Artaxerxes and Macestes. Despite being half-brothers, the three shared a very close bond and they ruled together after their father's death. You see, in the year 466 BC, Darius II died while suppressing an insurrection in Thrace. After Darius's death, the three brothers took over the empire. Xerxes was only 18 years old at the time, so Artaxerxes acted as regent until Xerxes came of age. The first thing Xerxes did after he turned 18 was to launch a campaign against the Saka people. If you don't know who the Saka were, they were a nomadic tribe who lived north of the Caspian Sea. For many years, the Saka had been raiding the northern borders of the empire, so Xerxes decided to march against them. His goal was to either subjugate the Saka or drive them away from the border. Unfortunately for Xerxes, he didn't achieve either of these goals. Instead, he ended up losing some of his best soldiers to the Saka warriors. You see, the Saka were excellent horsemen, and they fought in large numbers. As soon as Xerxes engaged them in battle, they surrounded his army and annihilated it. All of Xerxes' generals were killed except for one, a man named Gobryas. Gobryas managed to escape and live to tell the tale. Gobryas would later become famous for another reason. He would be the one to convince Xerxes to invade Greece. After recovering from his defeat against the Saka, Xerxes unleashed his wrath against the people of Armenia. He conquered the kingdom of Urartu and forced its king to pay him tribute. Xerxes then marched against the kingdom of Lydia, but once again he suffered a major defeat. This time it was at the hands of a Lydian general named Aristagoras. Aristagoras had assembled a navy of 200 ships and was using it to raid the coast of Lydia. Xerxes sent his navy to deal with the Lydians, but they ended up losing to Aristagoras. It was then that Xerxes understood he needed to improve his navy. So he ordered the construction of thousands of ships and also appointed new commanders. With his navy now strong enough to dominate the Aegean Sea, Xerxes sent it to conquer the islands of the Aegean. He then launched an invasion into Europe. His goal was to punish the Greeks for supporting the Ionian revolt and also to expand his empire into Europe. While Xerxes was conquering the Greeks, his brother Artaxerxes was dealing with a revolt in Babylon. You see, ever since Darius II annexed Babylon into the empire, the Babylonians resented the Achaemenid rule. They revolted multiple times, but each time they were defeated and forced to submit. However, this time the situation was different. The rebellion started in the year 486 BC and lasted for 8 years. It was led by a man named Shamash Shitu, who was supported by the Medians and the Scythians. During these 8 years, Artaxerxes had to deal with several rebellions in other parts of the empire too. For example, in Asia Minor, the cities of Sardis and Halicarnassus revolted against the Achaemenids, but both rebellions were crushed by Artaxerxes. Back in Greece, the main Achaemenid force was approaching the Hellespont with the goal of crossing into Europe. Their leader was a general named Mardonius, who was assisted by the generals Datis and Artaphernes. Xerxes himself was not present during the invasion, though he did send some messengers to motivate his troops. While crossing the Hellespont, the Persians met the Greeks at the Battle of the Marathon. The Greeks won the battle thanks to their superior tactics, which surprised the Persians. Despite this loss, the Persians continued marching southwards and managed to conquer most of the Greek mainland. Only the city of Sparta remained independent. To deal with Sparta, Xerxes appointed a new commander named Mecistius. Meanwhile, he himself returned to Susa to organize the next phase of the invasion. When Xerxes was back in Susa, he learned that the Spartans had attacked his rear. He immediately set out with his army to aid Mecistius, but along the way, his massive army was decimated by disease and famine. By the time he reached the city of Thermopylae, only a fraction of his army was still alive. There he made the mistake of engaging the Spartans in battle. As soon as the fighting began, the Persians realized they were no match for the Spartans. Realizing that the situation was hopeless, Mecistius fled the battlefield and joined Xerxes in the safety of Susa. Once again, Xerxes was forced to retreat back to Persia. At this point, the Persian kingship was hereditary and passed down from father to son. Therefore, when Darius II died, Xerxes became the king of the empire. However, he kept the title of king for only 9 years. In the year 465 BC, he was succeeded by his son, Artaxerxes II. It is believed that Xerxes was killed on the orders of Artaxerxes, but there is no historical evidence to support this theory. Some historians claim that Xerxes voluntarily gave up the throne in order to become a priest, while others believe he was forced to abdicate. Regardless of how it happened, Xerxes spent his last years in Persepolis, where he died around the year 420 BC. During his reign, Xerxes managed to conquer most of the Greek mainland, but he failed to conquer all of Greece. He also tried to defeat the Lydians and the Ionians, but he was defeated both times. Furthermore, he was never able to fully subdue Egypt, despite having a numerically superior army. The main reason why Xerxes failed in his military campaigns was his overconfidence. You see, before invading Greece, he was told by his advisors that the Greeks could not possibly win against his massive army. But in reality, the Greeks proved that even a small army can defeat a much larger force if it has better tactics and strategy. Xerxes married twice during his lifetime. His first wife was a Persian princess named Amestris, who was the daughter of the previous king, Darius II. Xerxes and Amestris had 4 sons, namely Artaxerxes, Darius, Otanus, and Mecistius. He also had a daughter whose name was Rhodagusa. Later on, Xerxes married a Bactrian princess named Persepolis, who was the daughter of King Xerxes. But unlike his first marriage, this one was not successful. In fact, it was said that Xerxes hated Persepolis. Therefore, he shackled her and treated her like a prisoner. One day, Xerxes ordered that Persepolis be thrown into a ditch filled with venomous snakes. She survived the attempt on her life, though. She managed to crawl out of the pit and ran to the palace gardens, where she died. Before dying, she cursed Xerxes and predicted that one day her son would avenge her death. That son was Darius II. He was the second child that Xerxes had with Persepolis. And after Xerxes' death, he would take revenge on his half-brother, Artaxerxes. And that's all the information we have on Xerxes. We hope you enjoyed learning about him, and thank you for watching. Now leave a comment below and tell us, what do you think about Xerxes? Also, remember to subscribe if you haven't yet, so you don't miss any new videos.